Right? Next, we have Professor Chen Si. Let me give the introduction. I don't need to read it. I have it in my mind. Right? So Professor Chen Si, my goodness, she is an assistant professor from the Chinese University of Hong Kong, from the Educational Psychology Department, and she's also a Spencer Postdoctoral Fellow from the U.S. National Academy of Education, and she's a PI for the Lab of Collaborative on Rural Early China, hosted by Harvard Graduate School of Education. Her research focuses on national scale early childhood education policy and how this national policy may impact individual children's development and their home literacy environment. Right? Is that fair? I learned this by heart.
Thank you so much, and I'm so happy to have this chance. I may have like 5 to 6 minutes to talk about you the sharebrook reading related interventions we've done in China, and I want to give you some very brief understanding about what is sharebrook reading and why it's so important. Because today is all about picture books and what can we do as thank you very much. Okay, as educators, what can we do using all these picture books? So actually, sharebrook reading, this idea is not new. It's quite very new in China. It's actually introduced to the whole Chinese-speaking environment in around 2000. And before we have this, actually, we won't see a lot parents using picture book at home and do this dialogue question ask about the picture book with the kids. And many of the scholars, interestingly, from Western countries, that's also quite a very interesting concept that connects the East and the West. They are talking about how important the sharebrook reading could do to child development. Professor Snow, Professor Anderson, these are all the US scholars. And then starting from school to home environment, we have a lot of thank you today we have Xingting here, and we have a lot of very treasure this sharebrook reading idea NGOs, and also many governments, and also support this idea to bring the home literacy environment idea from school settings to family settings and give a lot of free picture books to the society. So today I'm going to introduce you several of the challenges we may facing when talk about how to bring all the picture book to family and introduce this picture book to young kids. So how can we do when we introduce the books to kids, and how to make it really efficient in home literacy environment? So who are these stakeholders we're talking about? Teachers, families, communities, policymakers, are they all buy in this idea? And is it effect for kids, for parents, for teaching, and also some actually interaction qualities between child and adults? And how about the cultural differences? I just said this is not rooted from our China culture. So from the west to east, from this more, in China we have more collective teaching environment. And the sharebrook reading, just like the picture I just showed you, it's one parent and one kid, basically. So how about this collective and individualized differences? And how about many of the picture books are just for Han-speaking kids, but we have a lot of minority kids speaking other languages rather than Mandarin. And how about the rural-urban differences? Is this really can happen when we think about some very low resource environments in China? So I'm going to introduce you several of the studies we've done in the past. I'm not going to go through this because that can take one semester, but let me just briefly introduce you something. So the first one about Uyghur Chinese bilingual kids. When we introduce you them, the Uyghur Chinese, sorry this is so vague, but you can see the Chinese characters combined with the Uyghur as a bilingual picture book. This is the one and only setting you can find in the China market. But based on these sets of picture book, we successfully tested by a randomized control trial study. We successfully improved Uyghur young children's Chinese and Uyghur vocabulary development. The effect size is not small, and that also leads us to think about, well, if we can bring this not just from the school settings, but to families, what can we do? And the second one, supported by the IRADE Shenzhen Foundation, we have this large-scale experiment by sending picture books to families in the whole Shenzhen city. Today, we have 30,000 families in Shenzhen received free picture book. They are all very high-quality picture books, in Shenzhen. And how do these parents think about that? This is the package all the families may receive for free. You can just register, and then it will deliver to your home. And by this project, we find parents, when they just receive these 2 picture books, after 1 year, they changed their parenting education beliefs about shared reading. They tend to understand why this is so important to their to their kids, and also they start to do like a little bit more, but significantly improved their home literacy activities. And for the kids, we find their language skills are also improved compared to their not receive this package counterfactuals. And then we're thinking about to bring this whole idea to rural China. We're talking about the poverty-stricken areas, the annual family income less than $500 per year. So these families, when we these schools, when we're introducing them, all the very fancy picture books combined with teacher training and also curriculum, class plans based on all these picture books, what can we expect? We do find a very significant improvement for all these teachers' teaching strategies, as well as children's language development. So we didn't find any significant improvement for their cognitive or social-emotional development, but that's a direction we are working on that. But can you see the missing piece here? We are thinking about why this picture book idea can work for families in urban areas, but not families in rural areas. So that is something we collect with Chen Si Foundation to think about. We bring all this picture book idea combined with school settings as well as family settings in Sichuan, Beichuan, which is quite a relatively low resource areas in Sichuan province, and was recovered from the earthquake in 2008. And from this project, we find that parents really can get involved in these activities, and also by giving them the model showing by teachers, parents started to understand how can I do getting back to home and with all these very fancy picture books. So the next step, we hope that we can successfully collaborating with IRADE Foundation to support the whole Sichuan province. We're talking about in the next 5 years, 10,000 community-based libraries for young children in the whole province. And we are looking forward to see the families, the schools, and the communities can do together. Like what we have done today, it's a whole community work combined together to support young children's development in the next 3 to 5 years. Okay, so I hope I have convinced you that actually it's not just the challenges, but also opportunities for all these stakeholders if we can work together, and we will find effects on different parts, and we have a way to combine this shared book reading, very Western idea, to talk about our Chinese narratives, the Chinese stories, and to go over all these gaps, support child and parents and family education. So the very last piece I want to talk about today is there is a very interesting metaphor about picture book as a seed of happiness, 幸福的种子. So why we call it seed? Because in the future, we look forward to young children, their development as the flowers. And also, as a seed, we still need someone to take care of it, to support its growth. So who will do that? I think you will give us the answer. And also, picture book reading. Unfortunately, most of the study are on language literacy part, but today I know you're all from STEM background, so I'm looking forward to see you to get the very last gap covered, which is to bridge the understanding from picture book on language development to science education. Thank you so much.